Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to do an unboxing of NATO Air Commanders, Solitaire Strategic Air Command in World War III. It is a brand new game I just received about, 30 minutes ago in the mail from Hollandspiele, and I wanted to shoot a really quick unboxing because it just was released last week, and I want to make sure this gets out there in case anybody else is interested in solitaire games that were thinking about getting it, they weren't sure. I figured let me shoot a real quick unboxing, give you an idea of what you have to look forward to in this game, and a very brief overview of what the game is about. If you follow Hollandspiele on Facebook and Twitter, you're already familiar with the game. If you don't, then you need to follow them. This is a really fantastic small company. It's a husband and wife team. They do a great job of putting out some very unique subjects and take risks that other publishers don't necessarily look at doing. A lot of publishers want to go with the safer titles or the standard titles of your usual World War II stuff. These guys do a little bit of everything. And this one right here, at first glance, you're going to think this is a State of Siege game. And you'll see when I flip this thing over, we'll take a look at the map that comes in the game. And it does have a State of Siege vibe. And it is, to a degree, a State of Siege game. The difference is, it's just like Wars of Marcus Aurelius that Hollandspiele put out, which is also a State of Siege vibe. But the difference is here, compared to your standard SOS game, is that you get a lot more agency here. Decisions are much more important and critical in your success. The thing with State of Siege, and I love State of Siege games, but the big thing with State of Siege tends to be it's just crisis after crisis, and you're basically you're plugging your hole. You're sticking your finger and plugging holes in the dam to make sure that the deluge doesn't, the dam doesn't break and the deluge doesn't overwhelm you. In this game, it's similar situation. It's just a crisis after crisis, but you have a lot more control over the chaos, which is really critical and making for an engaging game. But let's take a look at the back of the box. Enough of me pontificating. This is a NATO Air Commander. On May 1st, 1987, the Soviet Union invaded Western Europe. In a masterstroke of planning and deception, the Red Army carried out its preparations in total secrecy, catching the NATO ground forces by surprise. The West's only hope is to achieve supremacy in the air. It won't be easy. The odds are against them, and the cause looks lost. With limited resources, multiple targets, and mounting political pressure, you will have to make the right calls at the right time. You are commander of the Allied Air Forces, Central Europe, and the fate of the world is in your hands. No pressure. So we've got 3 complete scenarios in the game. You get a multi-use card deck, interrelated mission types. Each of these games is playable in an evening, and the cards make the mission resolution clean, simple, and quick. And the different types of mission types, you have CAS, FOFA era, escort, SEED, OEW, dead, OCA, recon, and decapitation strikes. This is a first-time designer, Brad Smith, who did this. So really excited to see the finished product. I did get a look at the playtest components earlier in the year, but unfortunately personal life got in the way and I wasn't able to really get any time with it aside from a very brief glance. But let's take a look inside the box. There's your cover. You get your resolution card deck and counters, a manual, and your map. And as Dan from No Enemies Here likes to say, a box and a lid. So let's put that on the side and we'll open up the map to take a look at that. This is a really sharp map. Let's see if I can fix this for you because it's a little too bright. There we go. That should be a little better for you to see the map. This has a very 80s vibe to it. The map of Germany here, you've got 5 different thrust lines. They're all listed in phonetic order: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and Foxtrot. They are, let's see, 1, 2, 3. You got 6 lines, and you've got 2 that are 4 space lines. The others are 5 space lines. So these are the avenues of approach for the invading Western Pact forces, and they're going to be coming in through different areas of Germany. On the south end, it goes to Salzburg. Up north, it goes into Amsterdam. From Hamburg through to Bremerhaven, and Amsterdam, and then in the other eastern or western portion is Strasbourg and Bonn, Frankfurt here. So this gives you an idea of the area that's covered in the game. And we have over here are different tracks that you'll be using to keep track of what's going on, different things with your aircraft, your damaged, repaired, basing, and then you have your pilots here, game turn record track, your RP track, PGM track, dead track, OCA track, and decapitation strikes, I believe, and dead strikes here. It's what it looks like, different raids. The air mission displays, you have primary air escort seed for both of those, and here it breaks down air escort is air intercept versus air, seed, ground defense versus ground attack, close air support, ground attack, dead strike, OCA strike, decap strike, FOFA, ground attack, and ground combat, FIBA plus attack resolution versus cohesion value. That's what's listed here in this legend. And then recon phases says all recon missions are resolved using air intercept and will succeed on a 5 or less. You may keep performing recon missions until one fails. So that is a look at what's on the map, and then you have, excuse me, you have over here the Warsaw Pact victory points over here on this side. These are your, I should say, your counters, not this, but these are your counters. A very small counter manifest. It's 96 counters, really easy. You don't need a few hundred counters for this. It's a solitaire game. You've got your ground and air forces and administrative markers that you're going to use for the different tracks over here as well. And then you have your cards. These are resolution cards, and I believe objectives are in here as well. Yeah, these are objective cards. And these are your objective cards. Yes, these are all of your objective cards. These are the objectives laid out to you by NATO as commander of the Allied Air Forces. And then you have your resolution cards, which you'll use to, the shuffle cards, so you can shuffle up the deck. But these will tell you, this will help you with resolving all the actions. You want low numbers, I believe, on these top two, air and ground, and then you want high numbers on your NATO reinforcement. You also have an event in there, and then numbers down here are used for resolution as well. That gives you a look at the different cards. I think they're all going to look about the same. We can just flip through it real quick. Yeah, the numbers are different, and then the events are different. That's pretty much all of the resolution cards. All look the same layout wise, but have different bits of information on them. So put those on the side, and now take a look at the manual. And we've got a full color manual here, 10 pages total. The rules themselves only get to page 7. Starting on page 7 are your scenarios, and then you have your air unit manifest on page 10, and then a player's aid on the back of the manual. And you can make a copy of it, print it off, so you can consult it separate from the rules manual if you want during play, or you can just flip over the back of the book. But love the cover. You got your A-10 in there. Coolest plane ever. Love it. Flying tanks. So here inside, we'll take a look at what we see in the rules. We've got the introduction components, and it breaks down all of the counters for us. As we were saying before, the air unit counters are here. And then you've got, these are ground units for NATO and Warsaw Pact. You've got your Warsaw Pact aircraft, NATO aircraft, and other markers, as we said, which are the, for administrative counters to control your different tracks. You've got resolution cards here. It says most of the cards included in the game are resolution cards. These multi-purpose cards are used whenever there is an element of chance. Each card has several ratings which are used at different times. And air intercept and ground defense, you do want numbers to be lower. That's beneficial to you. It's for NATO, it doesn't help Warsaw Pact. For attack resolution, as the NATO player, you want higher. Warsaw Pact reinforced, you want that number to be lower. And for NATO, you want that number to be higher. And then you have the card number listed in there. This is the lower right-hand corner. That is what with resolving losses, used for resolving losses. And then you have an event. Objective cards, these are the ones that I had shown earlier, just about 6 or 7 of them, I think it was, maybe 8. Separate deck of objective cards contains mission requests from NATO members and your superiors. Parameters of the mission are indicated, as well as rewards for success and penalties for failure. And then it has a glossary, general setup, receive objectives phase, recon phase, air planning phase, pilots, raid resolution phase, ground combat phase, reinforcement phase, events phase, a lot of phases, a lot of procedural steps here, as most solitaire games are. Resource point phase, turn end phase, victory and defeat scenarios. And then we've got the scenarios themselves broken down as to what you're gonna have. You have a build-up tactical surprise and strategic surprise scenario. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It looks to be rules. So not very difficult to get into, but the thing that attracted me to this immediately from when I initially read the rules was, yes, it's procedural, and yes, it is a State of Siege style game, which I do enjoy. But the difference here with a State of Siege game is, from a State of Siege game, like I said, is you have more agency, because you have to determine how many assets you want to commit to each thrust line, or maybe not do anything on certain thrust lines, but you run the risk of them running the gauntlet and just immediately ending the, or not immediately ending the game, but ending the game faster. Or you get yourself in a position where you have to beat them back, and it makes it much more difficult for you. And you're going to have to shift guys over here to beat them back, but meanwhile you're going to have to take from over here, and then maybe they'll make progress, and you're just doing this seesaw thing back and forth, back and forth. So that's what makes it fun, and that's what real battles are going to be like, a real war is going to be like. You're going to have fronts that are going to shift and change, and that's where the challenge is in this style of game, and that's where the fun is for me in this style of game. So that is NATO Air Commander from Hollandspiele. It is available now. I would recommend you guys checking it out if you are solitaire game fans and you like this style of game. Give it a look, and if you're not already following Hollandspiele, go ahead and subscribe to their newsletter. And check out their catalog. They got a lot of fantastic titles that and a wide assortment of them that should appeal to many people. So give it a look, and tell them Mo sent you. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.